Seán Kyne. I think one of the features of the financial instability and turmoil which the country faced some 5 years ago was the institutions, or some institutions, acting outside their traditional competency, and building societies exemplify this. Institutions which are once solely worked solely and concerned solely with providing the financial assistance to a person to purchase a home expanded into commercial and other property sectors, and the results, as you know, were primarily disastrous. The shortcomings of the legislative framework became very apparent and conspired with the failings in regulation and oversight to create a situation which has characterised governments across many countries ever since. In this context, the introduction of this legislation is welcome. The Central Bank Amendment Bill will extend the application of the Part 3 of the Central Bank 1971 Act to building societies. Incidentally, the legislation is also necessary to permit the continued restructuring of the pillar banks, including the Bank of Ireland, which is seeking to complete the sale of specific assets and liabilities of the ICS Building Society. And the sale would not be able to take place without the passing of this bill. It is vital and necessary for us to have a comprehensive and effective legislative framework in place which oversees and regulates our financial sector. We must learn from the grave and foolish mistakes of the first decade of the century, mistakes which have had such catastrophic consequences. Aside from this, we must also ensure a degree of flexibility so that we can return to normal, healthy levels of financial activity, and this includes borrowing and lending as well as savings. Minister, on Monday I met with yourself and the St Columba's Credit Union in Galway and representatives of the Ballyban Enterprise Centre in the city, and many deputies in the West will be aware of these organisations' account of the very successful Skull Enterprise Awards, which celebrate rewards and promotes entrepreneurship and enterprise in Galway and the West. And the main concerns raised at the meeting on Monday, as you're aware, and I know they've promised to send both of us a submission, but it's centred on the restrictions currently in place on credit unions lending. And credit unions have a hugely positive feature of our society, notwithstanding some problems that arose with a number of them, and they play an enormous important role in promoting financial inclusion and providing financial services to a wider number of people who might otherwise be excluded. And the voluntary and community teams run to the core of the credit union movement. The Skull, which is SCCUL, is a registered charity and established by, but it's separate from St Columba's Credit Union in Galway, established in 2002, and it has a vision to contribute to help prevent and alleviate poverty in the Galway city area, to develop leadership skills, to prevent socio-economic isolation, and to support least privileged groups. And they do wonderful work, as you're aware. And they feel that they run an exceptional credit union to a very high standard with a lot of reserves, and the result, they've prudent and careful management that they have these sizable reserves, and these reserves could be used to assist small to medium-sized local businesses that require finance for expansion, and such lending would in turn have a considerable positive impact on job creation. With this legislation before the House today, it is clear that the government, the Minister and Minister of State at the Department of Finance are very much open to introducing legislative changes and reforms which help businesses expand and create jobs while maintaining the high level of oversight and responsibility which are so essential in a sustainable economic system. And therefore, I would encourage the ministers to examine legislation amendments which would help credit unions to help local businesses to the benefit of the communities across the country. As I said, we are awaiting a submission from the group, but they have considerable reserve that they wish to be able to promote in their area, either in terms of lending to businesses or also in terms of some of the infrastructure and some of the capital infrastructure that is needed within their communities, within the Galway city area. The latter part of this bill concerns implementing a mechanism to facilitate the assistance which our country promised to provide to another of our European colleagues in difficulty. In Ireland, we have a proud history of helping those in need or those less fortunate, even when we are in that exactly the same, when we're not exactly in the best of positions ourselves. Though the determination and work of the Irish people and the assistance of the EU and the IMF, we have exited the bailout programme and have regained our economic sovereignty. And it has been, as we all know, not easy, and there's been plenty of sacrifices made and difficult decisions made, but we've also regained our economic sovereignty. Portugal will soon do likewise. Other European nations, notably Greece, are still grappling with very serious economic challenges which have been highlighted by others. And just as we in Ireland assist less developed countries whose people continue to struggle, we have a duty to assist Greece, which is also included in part of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.